In the center of the great galaxy, there were millions of stars, worlds, and living races. Travel between systems was normal. Trade ships moved every day. War fleets guarded borders. The galaxy was alive with light. But at the far edge of known space, there was one place that no race wanted to reach. They called it the Dark Edge. On every galactic map, the stars slowly faded near that border. Beyond that line, there was only black space. No colors. No data. No names. Long ago, many races tried to explore it. None returned. The first ships that went there sent short messages. They spoke of cold space, broken light, and strange silence. Then the signals stopped. After that, no one heard from them again. Over time, the Galactic Council made a law. Beyond this border, no ship may travel. Beyond this border, space is forbidden. They placed warning lights near the last star systems. Huge beacons flashed red and gold. Do not cross the dark edge. Young pilots were taught about it in school. Old captains told stories in space bars. Some said monsters lived there. Some said time itself was broken there. Some believed it was the end of reality. Whatever the truth was, every race agreed on one thing. Nothing should go there. For thousands of years, the Dark Edge stayed quiet. Until the humans arrived. Humans were still new to the galactic stage. They came from a small blue world near a young star. At first, the other races did not fear them. Humans were not tall. They were not strong like the stone giants. They did not have natural armor like the insect clans. But humans had something strange. Curiosity. They asked too many questions. They explored too fast. They tested limits again and again. When humans joined the Galactic Council, they studied the maps. And they noticed something missing. At the edge of every chart, beyond the last stars, there was only darkness. Human scientists asked about it. What is beyond this border? Why is there no data? Why does space simply end here? The elder races answered with silence. Finally, one council member spoke. That place is death. Ships go there and never come back. That answer did not stop humans. It only made them more interested. Secretly, human explorers began to prepare. They built special ships with heavy shields. They created sensors that could see deep into dark space. They trained crews for long silent travel. The project was hidden from the council. They named it simply Edge Mission 1. Far from crowded trade lanes, a small human fleet gathered near the last known star. 3 exploration ships. 2 escort warships. 1 command cruiser. From far away, alien watching stations noticed the movement. Alarms spread quietly through galactic space. Humans are approaching the dark edge. Many thought it was a mistake. Some believed humans did not understand the danger. The council sent warnings. Turn back. Crossing is forbidden. You will not survive. The human fleet did not answer. At the front of the formation, the command cruiser moved closer to the border. On the main screen, the last star burned bright. Beyond it, space turned empty. No stars. No dust. No light. Only endless black. Human Captain Elias stood on the bridge. He was calm. His voice was steady. All systems ready, he said. The crew felt fear, but also pride. They knew history was watching them. The border line appeared on their screens. A thin glowing mark, placed long ago by alien machines. The dark edge. The engines slowed. For one long moment, no one spoke. Then the captain gave one simple order. Forward. The fleet crossed the line. Instantly, all sensors began to fail. Stars behind them faded. Time signals went silent. Navigation systems showed nothing but empty space. The ships moved deeper. Inside the dark zone, space felt wrong. Light bent strangely. Sounds inside the ship felt distant. Even thoughts seemed heavier. Crew members whispered prayers. Then, something appeared. Far ahead, deep in the black, a faint shape glowed. Not a star. Not a planet. A massive structure. Broken. Ancient. Silent. Human scanners tried to read it. The results shocked them. "This station is not human," the officer said. "It is not from any known race." The structure was huge. Damaged by old weapons. Floating alone in the dark. Captain Elias stared at the screen. "So others came here before us," he said softly. Before they could study more, alarms began to ring. A new signal appeared. Deep. Strong. Watching them. Not friendly. Not natural. Something in the dark had noticed the humans. And for the first time in thousands of years, the dark edge was no longer silent. The human fleet moved slowly through the dark zone. Behind them, the last star was already fading from view. Ahead, there was only endless black. Inside the ships, lights dimmed by themselves. Some screens blinked without reason. Time counters stopped for a few seconds, then continued again. Space here did not follow normal rules. Captain Elias watched the strange ancient station on the main screen. It was larger than any human city in space. Broken rings floated around it like dead moons. Deep scars crossed its metal skin. This place had seen a terrible war. "Reduce speed," Elias ordered. "Send small drones first." Tiny machines flew ahead, their lights cutting weak lines through the dark. As the drones approached the station, strange symbols appeared on its surface. Not letters. Not numbers. Something older. Human scientists studied the signals. "These marks are millions of years old," one said quietly. "This station was here before many races were born." The drones entered through a broken gate. Inside, everything was frozen. Empty halls. Silent control rooms. Weapons left half destroyed. No bodies. No signs of escape. Only one message remained, burned into a metal wall. The drone sent the image back. 3 simple words in an unknown language. After translation, the computers showed the meaning. "They are coming." A cold silence filled the bridge. "Who are they?" one officer whispered. Before anyone could answer, the dark space outside changed. Far away, a faint red light appeared. Then another. Then many more. Not stars. Moving lights. Hundreds of them. They were coming from deep inside the darkness. Fast. Too fast. Human sensors screamed warnings. Multiple objects detected. Energy levels rising. Unknown drive systems active. The lights formed shapes. Long ships. Sharp edges. Black metal that swallowed light. No windows. No markings. No engines visible. They moved like shadows. The fleet froze. This was not an alien race known to the galaxy. This was something hidden. Something waiting. The lead shadow ship stopped in front of the human command cruiser. Space around it bent slightly, like it was heavy with power. A voice filled every human ship at once. Not sound. Not language. A feeling. Cold. Old. Angry. "You have crossed the last border." Crew members fell silent. Some felt fear deep in their bones. Captain Elias stood firm. "We are explorers of humanity," he said calmly. "We came to learn what lies beyond." The voice answered slowly. There is nothing for you here but ending. The shadow ships began to move. Weapons opened along their sides. Dark energy gathered like storm clouds. Human escorts raised shields. Plasma cannons powered up. But Elias lifted his hand. Hold fire. The enemy ship stopped again. The voice returned. Turn back. Or be erased like the others. Elias studied the dark fleet. He saw no pride in them. No honor. Only hunger. How many races did you destroy? He asked. The silence lasted long. Then the answer came. All who came too far. Elias nodded slowly. Then you should know something about humans, he said. The voice waited. We do not stop when we are afraid, Elias continued. We learn. We adapt. And when we must, we fight. The shadow ships shifted slightly. For the first time, something like surprise touched the dark presence. You are small. You are young. You will fall. Elias smiled faintly. Maybe, he said. But not today. Suddenly, human scanners detected something deeper. Behind the shadow fleet. Far inside the darkness. A massive energy storm. Not natural. A gate. A portal. This was not their home. This was their doorway. The ancient station near them began to activate. Old lights turned on. Hidden systems woke from sleep. A final message played from the dead station. A weak recording from a forgotten race. This is our last warning, the ancient voice said. The masters of the dark are not gods. They can be wounded. They can be destroyed. The recording ended. The shadow fleet moved forward again. Weapons ready. Captain Elias straightened. All ships, he said calmly. Send this message to the council. The signal burst back toward known space. Simple words. The enemy lives beyond the dark edge. And humanity has found them. Then he gave the next order. Prepare for first contact battle formation. The human fleet spread out. Shields flared bright blue in the black void. The shadow ships answered with dark red fire. And in the silent edge of the galaxy, the first battle beyond known space was about to begin. The first shot came from the dark fleet. A thin red beam crossed the empty space and struck a human escort ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shield around the ship flashed bright white. Energy waves rolled across its surface like water on glass. The crew held their breath. The shield stayed strong. The ship survived. Human officers stared in surprise. That weapon should have destroyed us, one said. Captain Elias nodded. They tested us, he replied. Now we answer. Return controlled fire, he ordered. Human plasma cannons lit the dark. Blue light cut across space and struck the nearest shadow ship. The blast hit its hull and exploded. For the first time, the dark metal cracked. Small pieces broke away and drifted into the void. Inside the shadow fleet, confusion spread. They had never seen their ships damaged by such a young race. The voice returned, louder now. You should not resist. More shadow ships moved forward. Dark energy waves rushed toward the human formation. Shields shook violently. Several human ships lost power for seconds. But the formation held. Human commanders reacted fast. They changed shield patterns. They shifted energy between systems. They learned from every hit. Within minutes, human defense grew stronger. The enemy noticed. You adapt too fast. That is our nature, Elias said quietly. The battle spread. Human fighters launched from carriers, small and fast. They flew between shadow ships, scanning, marking weak points. Human lasers targeted the damaged areas. One shadow cruiser exploded in silent fire. Dark fragments drifted away like dying stars. Across the galaxy, ancient sensors woke. Hidden alien stations far away recorded something impossible. For the first time in history, the masters of the dark were bleeding. Anger filled the dark presence. Space around the enemy fleet grew colder. Energy levels rose sharply. The shadow ships began to change. Their hulls opened, revealing spinning black cores. Reality itself bent near them. Human scientists shouted warnings. They are charging a mass weapon. This could destroy the entire sector. Elias did not retreat. Instead, he made a dangerous choice. All ships, he said calmly. Switch to Pattern Omega. Officers froze. Pattern Omega was untested. A theory only. But there was no other option. Human ships changed formation. They moved closer together, shields overlapping. Energy lines connected them like a web. Power flowed between every ship. They became one moving fortress. The Shadow Fleet fired. A massive dark wave rushed forward. It hit the human formation. Space screamed. Shields shattered. Energy storms exploded. For a moment, everything vanished in white light. When the light faded, the human fleet was still there. Damaged. Burned. But alive. And something new had happened. The dark wave was trapped inside the shield web. Human systems absorbed it. Studied it. Copied it. Scientists stared at their screens in shock. We understand their weapon now. Elias smiled. Good, he said. Send it back. Human ships released the stolen energy. But changed. Refined. Stronger. The wave struck the center of the Shadow Fleet. 3 massive ships collapsed instantly. Their cores broke apart. Dark fire swallowed them. Silence followed. The enemy fleet stopped moving. The voice returned, no longer calm. This is impossible. Elias leaned forward. Welcome to humanity, he said. Behind the battlefield, the ancient portal began to glow brighter. The gate was opening. More dark ships waited beyond. Hundreds. Thousands. This battle was only the beginning. Human scanners showed the truth. Beyond the gate lay a full empire of shadows. An ancient war machine that had ruled the dark for millions of years. The dark presence spoke again, slower now. You have awakened the true war. Elias answered softly. Good, he said. We were looking for one. He turned to his officers. Transmit emergency code to Earth and all colonies. The message was simple. Enemy confirmed. Ancient threat located. War has begun beyond the galaxy. Then he gave the final order. All fleets, prepare for long war operations. The human ships moved forward. Toward the portal. Toward the unknown empire. Toward a war no race had ever survived. And deep inside the dark, the ancient masters finally understood something new. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was coming. The portal opened fully. From inside the glowing storm, more shadow ships began to appear. Not tens. Not hundreds. Thousands. They filled the dark space like a moving wall of night. Human scanners could barely count them. Every officer on the bridge understood one truth. This was no battle. This was the beginning of a war. Captain Elias remained calm. All ships, pull back slowly, he ordered. Keep formation. Protect the carriers. Human fleet moved backward, step by step. The Shadow Empire followed. Silent. Patient. Confident. They believed time was on their side. They were wrong. Far behind the human fleet, hidden in the dark, something new arrived. 3 massive human war platforms. Long and wide like moving cities. They carried weapons never tested in real war. Humanity had prepared more than anyone knew. The first platform activated. A deep hum filled space. Light bent around it. The shadow ships noticed too late. A wide blue wave expanded outward. Every shadow ship caught inside it suddenly slowed. Their movement dropped. Their weapons delayed. Time itself was heavier near them. Human scientists smiled. Graviton field successful, one said. The enemy fleet was trapped. Elias did not waste the moment. All fleets, he said clearly. Full attack. Human carriers opened. Thousands of fighters poured into space. Missile storms followed. Laser walls burned through the dark. For the first time in millions of years, the Shadow Empire faced organized war. Shadow ships fired back. Entire regions of space vanished in dark explosions. Many human fighters were lost. Brave pilots died without fear. But every loss gave data. Every hit gave knowledge. Human systems learned fast. Too fast. Human weapons adjusted power. Human shields shifted frequency. Human engines found new paths. The Shadow Empire began to fall behind. Inside one Shadow Command ship, the ancient leaders gathered. They spoke without words. Confusion. Anger. Fear. They should not exist. They should break. Why do they grow stronger? The answer was simple. Humans learned from pain. On the human flagship, alarms rang again. A new enemy force appeared far behind them. Another portal. The Shadow Empire was trying to surround them. Elias closed his eyes for 1 second. Then he smiled. They think we came alone, he said. He opened a private channel. Signal Phase 2. Across distant space, far inside known galaxy. Human shipyards woke. Hidden fleets moved. Colonies armed themselves. For the first time in history, humanity activated full war mode. Back in the dark zone, something impossible happened. Space behind the human fleet opened. Not one portal. 5. Bright human gates. From them came reinforcements. Heavy cruisers. Battle carriers. Planet killers. Entire new fleets arrived. The Shadow Empire hesitated. This was not a small race. This was a civilization ready for war. Human fleets joined together. Their numbers doubled. Then tripled. Human war music filled command channels. Pilots felt courage rise. This is home now, one pilot said quietly. We protect it. The battle exploded. Thousands of ships clashed. Stars were hidden by fire. Shockwaves crossed entire systems. Human dread cannons destroyed shadow capitals. Shadow beams erased human cruisers. But slowly. Very slowly. The Dark Fleet began to retreat. They had never retreated before. They did not understand how to fight a race that refused to fear. The Dark Presence spoke again, weaker now. Why do you defend empty space? Elias answered calmly. This space is not empty, he said. It is our future. The Shadow Empire tried one last weapon. A massive core ship moved forward. Larger than anything before. Its weapon could destroy entire fleets. Human sensors screamed. Energy level critical. That blast will end everything here. Elias did not run. He made one final choice. All platforms, he said softly. Release the wall. Human war platforms aligned. They activated a forbidden defense. A solid line of light formed across space. A barrier built from combined human shields. The core ship fired. A beam brighter than a star struck the wall. For long seconds, nothing moved. Then slowly, the beam broke. The wall held. The core ship exploded from inside. The Shadow Empire fell silent. Retreat signals spread. Their fleets pulled back toward the portals. For the first time in history, the Masters of the Dark were defeated in open war. The battlefield grew quiet. Wrecks drifted like frozen ghosts. Human ships gathered. Damaged. Burned. But victorious. Elias looked at the portal. Beyond it waited an empire. This war was far from over. But now, the galaxy had changed forever. Because one truth was now clear. Beyond the dark edge, humanity was no longer a visitor. Humanity was a power. After the great battle, silence returned to the dark edge. Human ships floated among broken wrecks. Some were badly damaged. Some had lost power. Many carried the marks of heavy war. Rescue teams moved fast. They pulled wounded pilots from burning fighters. They sealed broken hulls. They honored the dead in quiet moments. Captain Elias stood on the bridge, watching the ruined space. "This place will never be empty again," he said softly. Behind him, officers studied new data. The Shadow Empire had retreated. But not far. Deep beyond the portals, thousands of enemy fleets waited. And now, they were afraid. Inside the Shadow Empire, ancient councils gathered. Their leaders were beings older than stars. They had ruled the dark for millions of years. They had never lost a war. Until now. Images from the battle played before them. Human ships adapting. Human shields learning. Human fleets arriving without end. Silence filled their chamber. Finally, the highest leader spoke. "The small race has changed the balance." Another answered. "They learn too fast. They do not fear death." For the first time in ancient memory, the Empire felt uncertainty. They decided on a new plan. Not direct war, but slow destruction. They would strike human supply lines. They would attack colonies. They would break human hope. The true war began in silence. Days later, the first human outpost beyond the dark edge vanished. No signal. No survivors. Then another base fell. Then a convoy disappeared. Shadow hunters moved unseen through space. Human commanders realized the danger. The enemy was learning too. On a hidden moon base, human leaders met. Holograms showed maps of unknown space. "This is not one battlefield," Elias said. "This is a war across darkness." Humans changed strategy. They built strongholds beyond the dark edge. They placed sensor webs in deep space. They trained special fleets for silent war. New human weapons were created. Light mines that burned dark matter. Pulse shields that healed themselves. Engines that could hide inside shadow fields. Humans did not wait to be hunted. They became hunters. Small human strike teams crossed deep into enemy territory. They destroyed shadow factories. They freed enslaved races. They stole enemy technology. Every mission brought new knowledge. Every loss brought stronger resolve. Slowly, stories spread across the galaxy. Alien traders whispered in fear. Humans fight in the dark now. Humans chase monsters in their own realm. Humans are not afraid of the edge anymore. Other races began to change their minds. Some sent secret help. Weapons. Maps. Hidden paths. Even old enemies of humans now respected them. Because humanity was doing what no race had ever done. They were pushing the dark back. Months passed. The war grew larger. Entire systems burned. Stars died in battle storms. But something strange happened. The Shadow Empire was losing ground. Not because of numbers. Because of one simple truth. They did not understand humans. Humans fought not only with power, but with memory. Every defeat became a lesson. Every loss became a weapon. The Shadow Empire fought the same way they always had. Humans never fought the same battle twice. Inside the enemy core worlds, panic slowly rose. Human fleets were now seen near sacred systems. Human signals reached places never touched before. The Dark Presence spoke again to Elias through the void. You will destroy the balance. Elias answered calmly. The balance was built on fear, he said. We are here to end it. The Shadow leaders finally made a hard choice. They would reveal their greatest secret. Their final defense. Hidden far beyond all known darkness. There was a world. Not a planet. A living fortress. The birthplace of their empire. A machine world built around a dying star. From there, they controlled the portals. From there, they commanded all fleets. They believed no enemy could reach it. They were wrong. Human spies discovered the truth. The location. The structure. The weakness. When the information reached human command, silence filled the room. This was the heart of the enemy. If it fell, the war would change forever. Elias studied the map. A long dark path led to the machine world. Filled with traps. Filled with fleets. Filled with death. Many commanders feared the mission. Few believed survival was possible. Elias finally spoke. This is where the war must end, he said. He looked at his officers. And this is where humanity will decide what it truly is. Outside, new fleets gathered. Bigger than ever before. Carrying weapons built only for this mission. Pilots prepared in silence. Engineers sealed final armor. Across human space, one message spread. The heart of the darkness has been found. And deep inside the ancient empire, the masters of the dark began to build their final defense. Because now they understood the truth. Humanity was no longer learning how to fight. Humanity was learning how to win. The journey to the enemy heart began in silence. Human fleets moved through deep darkness, far beyond any known map. No stars guided them. No signals returned from behind. Only long black space, and the distant glow of the machine world ahead. The enemy fortress slowly appeared. It was not round like a planet. It was a giant metal ring around a dying star. Thousands of towers rose from its surface. Millions of weapons pointed into space. This was the birthplace of the Shadow Empire. This was where their power began. Human scanners showed impossible numbers. Enemy fleets circled the fortress like endless storms. Mines filled every path. Traps waited in every shadow. Many officers whispered one word. Death. Captain Elias did not turn back. All fleets, he said calmly. This is the final road. No retreat beyond this point. Human ships spread out. Heavy battleships in front. Carriers behind. Strike teams hidden in the dark. Then the fortress woke. The dying star inside it brightened. Enemy weapons powered up. The largest battle in forgotten history began. Dark beams crossed space. Human shields burned bright. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. Stars trembled from the energy storms. Human pilots flew straight into fire. They knew many would not return. But they did not slow. One human carrier was hit by a planet-killer beam. Its engines failed. Its hull broke open. Inside, thousands of crew were trapped. The captain sent one final message. "For Earth," he said. Then he turned the broken ship and crashed it directly into an enemy weapon tower. The explosion destroyed half a defense ring. The human fleet opened a path. Sacrifice became the key. Strike teams launched toward the fortress surface. Small ships flew between towers. They avoided fire. They cut power lines. They planted bombs in ancient machines. Inside the fortress, alarms spread for the first time in millions of years. The shadow leaders gathered in their core chamber. Their voices were no longer calm. They are inside. This should not happen. The machine world is eternal. But even eternal things can break. Deep inside the fortress, a human team reached the control core. A chamber built around the dying star. Energy rivers flowed like liquid light. At the center stood the control tower. Ancient. Alive. Thinking. The dark presence spoke through it. "Leave. You cannot win here." The human leader, Commander Rhea, stepped forward. "We are not here to win," she said quietly. "We are here to end this." The tower attacked. Dark energy cut through the team. 2 soldiers fell. Another burned. But Rhea kept moving. She placed the final device at the base of the core. A human bomb made from stolen dark energy. The only weapon that could destroy this world. Outside, the space battle reached madness. Human fleets were losing ships fast. Enemy reinforcements arrived. The fortress began charging its final defense. If it fired, every human fleet would die. Elias watched the energy rise. Time was running out. Inside the core chamber, Rhea activated the bomb. The tower screamed. Not in sound. In pain. "You will destroy everything." "Yes," Rhea answered. "That is the idea." She sent the signal. The bomb armed. But the escape path was gone. Doors closed. Walls sealed. Her team looked at her. She smiled softly. "Tell them, we did it." Outside, Elias received the signal. "Core bomb active," the message said. "No survivors." His hands trembled for 1 second. Then he gave the final order. "All fleets, pull back now." Human ships turned and fled. Enemy fleets chased them. The fortress glowed brighter and brighter. Inside the core, the dying star collapsed. The bomb detonated. Light exploded from the heart of the machine world. The fortress cracked. Rings broke apart. Towers fell into the star. A shockwave crossed entire systems. Enemy ships lost power. Portals collapsed. The Shadow Empire's command was gone. Silence returned. Slowly. Very slowly. The fortress vanished. Only dust and broken fire remained. Across deep space, enemy fleets stopped moving. Confused. Leaderless. Broken. For the first time since their birth. The ancient masters had fallen. Human fleets regrouped. Less than half remained. Burned. Damaged. Tired. But alive. Elias looked at the empty space where the fortress once stood. "It's over," one officer whispered. Elias shook his head slowly. "No," he said softly. "The war is over. But the future has just begun." Far away, across the galaxy, every portal went silent. Every shadow base lost control. Every enslaved race felt freedom for the first time. And beyond the dark edge, the darkness finally began to fade. After the fall of the machine world, the dark zone changed. The endless black slowly began to fade. New stars appeared where darkness once lived. Light returned to places forgotten by time. Human fleets moved carefully through the silent space. No enemy ships followed them. No dark signals called from the void. The war was truly over. Captain Elias stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship. He watched the first newborn star glow softly ahead. "This place is alive again," he said quietly. Behind him, officers smiled with tired faces. Many friends were gone. Many ships were lost. But something greater remained. Freedom. Across the galaxy, strange news spread. The portals were closed. The shadow bases were empty. The ancient masters were gone. At first, no one believed it. Then the proof arrived. Human recordings. Human maps. Human survivors from the dark. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. Old races sat in silence as the images played. The machine world exploding. The shadow fleets breaking. Human fleets standing alone in victory. For thousands of years, the Dark Edge had been fear. Now it was history. An elder council member finally spoke. "The darkness is gone," he whispered. "And the ones who ended it were humans." No one argued. In the months that followed, humanity changed. They did not return home and forget. They built. Human engineers created stargates beyond the Dark Edge. Colonies rose where no life had ever existed. Research stations studied the remains of ancient machines. The Dark Zone became a new frontier. And it had a new name. Human space. Maps were rewritten. Where once there was only black, now there were words. Beyond this line lies the territory of humanity. Alien races began to arrive. Some came with fear. Some came with respect. Some came with hope. Freed races from the Shadow Empire asked for protection. Humans accepted them. Not as rulers. As guardians. Human fleets now patrolled the deep borders. Not to conquer. But to protect the galaxy from what once lived there. Captain Elias became a living legend. Statues were built on many worlds. But he refused titles. He returned to exploration. Because for humans, victory never meant stopping. One day, long after the war, Elias stood near the old border line. The same place where he first crossed into darkness. Now, bright stars shone beyond it. Trade ships moved calmly. Children trained to become explorers. An officer joined him. "Do you ever regret crossing the edge?" the officer asked. Elias smiled softly. "No," he said. "If we had not crossed, the darkness would have crossed us." Far away, in distant galaxies, something else began to stir. Not enemies. Not monsters. Civilizations older than the Shadow Empire noticed a new power rising. A young race. Brave. Adaptive. Fearless. They watched silently. And they remembered one truth. Humanity did not seek war. But when war came, humanity ended it. Years passed. The story of the Dark Edge became legend. Children across the galaxy learned it in schools. How humans walked into darkness. How they fought gods. How they came back with light. Pilots painted symbols on their ships. A simple mark. A thin glowing line. With words below it. Here the galaxy once ended. Here humanity began. In the deep archives of human history, one final message remained. Recorded by Commander Rhea before the core exploded. Played only on special days. Her voice was calm. "If anyone hears this," she said, "remember why we came here. We did not come for power. We did not come for glory. We came so others would never live in fear again. The recording ended. And in the endless space beyond the dark edge, human flags flew above new stars. Human cities shined on silent worlds. Human fleets guarded the borders of light. The galaxy had changed forever. Not because of gods. Not because of ancient empires. But because one young race looked into the darkest place and chose to walk forward. And so the final truth spread across every system. From the smallest moon to the oldest star. A truth now written into history. Where the galaxy ends, humanity rules.